Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. 5, 10 lives.
Deadlights Pod! Welcome to the Deadlights Podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I am your host, Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror. Everybody.
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 Yeah. Whack your body.
Rock your body.
Whack your body. And this movie that we just watched was definitely all about rocking your body.
And whacking.
And whacking your body.
Ooh.
And what did we just watch?
X.
From 2022, written and directed by Ty West. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas, but when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast find themselves fighting for their lives.
And boy, were they.
Boy, were they. Well, I think that we should probably just get
let's
into...
get into it. The can.
Let's get into the can.
The little can.
How this is actually made, because I think that a big part of, even though it is referencing a lot of horror movies that we really like, that they do really well, we see a lot of shots that mirror, especially Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
There's this shot of them in the van all together traveling to the rural place, to the farm, and then especially when they're standing in the doorways of the farmhouse, very much mirroring Texas Chainsaw, and the landscape in general too. We have a lot of landscape shots that really are giving this sense of these people don't belong here. They're out of their world and they're in this very strange world.
Mm-hmm.
But then Ty West does an interesting thing where he's bringing, like you kind of already started to mention, new editing techniques to this classic style that we're used to. And one of those things, one of the first things that we notice is this like flashing back and forth transition going from a scene to another scene.
Whiplash.
Very whiplashy. It's because this is the second time I've seen this, so I was expecting that. I was warned.
You were warned.
But so it wasn't as jarring for me, but for sure that first time that happened, I was like, what?
Yeah, it's
Whoa.
supposed to be this kind of like effect of like, you're blinking.
Very
and
disorienting.
going back and forth,
Mhm.
between memories or information to us.
And that's what I kind of, as the movie went on and as it did it more and more, it to me kind of became about this blending of worlds going on. Because as we got into this movie more and more, it started off as kind of our classic slasher movie, but it becomes more and more about older generations blending with newer generations, people's ideas blending with other people's ideas about sex, especially.
Queer, straight, black, white. It's all disco.
And then literally blending sex and violence together. And there's a lot of just blending and disorienting blurred lines going on through this movie, through the themes, and now literally through the filmmaking. So it was, I thought it was a cool choice. It is a choice for sure, and he makes a couple very interesting filmic choice. That one to me, when I saw it this time, it kind of worked for me.
Yeah.
I thought it kind of worked, but it's definitely
How
jarring.
about the side swipes? What do you think of this?
The side swipes,
Mm-hmm.
I liked because it kind of, those were kind of, again, more homages to older filmmaking. Those kind of 70s kind of hokey side wipes for sure reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the one scene that I want to mention in the can that is definitely highlighting editing is the scene where we're in the cabin and we're singing the song.
I took my love and took it down.
We're doing side swipes and we're seeing two scenes happening at once. We have the group of the filmmakers singing the song, and then we have Pearl putting makeup on, getting ready, doing her creepy Pearl thing.
The transformation.
The transformation. That was when I was like, this is a little too far. I don't know if that worked for me.
Yeah. Definitely made me laugh and definitely made me leave the room and go pee. It was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe perhaps it's meant to serve as that, to invoke an emotion in which, you know, like, you're gonna give us a fucking like song in the middle of a horror film,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna do it this cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all supposed to highlight our villain, you know, our monster, to just kind of like be what was the word I want to use?
She's like prepping herself.
Yeah,
she's
like
preparing.
like she's waking up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she saw them doing what she's always dreamt about. You know,
Fucking.
just, you know, being young again.
Mm-hmm.
Because her husband can't please her, and I don't think perhaps he ever was.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, like, how was he okay doing those things for her? Or was he always like that with her? You know, like both of them just crazy murderous.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of seemed like to me that he was always that devoted to her, because he has a moment where he said, "You were, from the moment I saw you, you were the most beautiful girl I ever saw."
Tell me I'm special. Of course you are.
And even now, I'll do anything for you. And it's clear that he will do anything for. He's murdering people for her. He's hiding bodies for her. He's, you know, keeping some sex slave downstairs for her. So he is clearly devoted to her.
Mhm.
And so it seems like that had always been the case, though. You know, like he'd always been that devoted. At least that was the sense that I got. And I'm not seeing Pearl, so I don't know any of.
I know. I'm
can
trying
only-
not to like talk about. I guess we can't talk about it
We can't.
because this is X,
This
not
is X.
Pearl.
Yep, we can't. Yeah, because I've never seen it, so I don't know any of the backstory. I can only take what I get from X,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of nice because all the information that we get about Pearl and Harold is the information that the characters get in this movie. We're very much along for the ride with them. We're in the van with them as they pull up. We are learning about how crazy these people actually are through their eyes too. So I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with not seeing Pearl because I don't need to know all that backstory to enjoy it and understand what's going on thematically too. And real quickly, to go back to the song scene.
Oh, right.
It does, I think, go back to this idea again of them playing with worlds blending. Those filmic choices, the cinematic choices, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. I can understand where they're coming from and why he's making that choice, which I appreciate because I don't really like when filmmakers make a choice just to make it look cool. Unless it does look really cool.
But it makes sense along with the film. It's not just this absolutely different scene that makes,
He's trying to say something with it.
Yeah.
Now, does it work for me beyond that? It kind of takes me out of it a little bit. And we don't have to take horror movies seriously, but it just seemed a little out of place. Just a little out of place. Just the song in the middle. But besides that, I really enjoyed how this movie was shot. Very pretty colors and tableaus, and I loved how it even opens up with that fake out 4x3 frame inside the barn, and then we zoom in,
Like
and it
that.
actually turns into the 16:9 widescreen format. Very creative, and he was clearly just playing around. He was really just going for it. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we saw there was a guitar, someone was playing it, it was Kid Cudi, I was so expecting. I was like, of course, we're going to have the actual actor who's an artist be the one to sing. And he wasn't. And that instantly took me out. I entered being like, okay, now we're going to have a song. And then it was absolutely Britney Snow singing a song that is more modern than that. Is it?
Landslide?
Or did
landslide? I'm not sure what year
it
that.
might be a remake of a remake of a remake. I don't know.
Continue.
But I mean, I'm also very weird when it comes to music, people singing in films that are not musicals. I don't like a lot of musicals for that reason. Is that like secondhand embarrassment kind of, where I'm just like, if I'm not gonna go see an artist sing, then I don't want it. So it took me out completely because it was so cheesy.
And
so,
I understand what you're saying, and I think that they did the best that they could in like explaining away why that is happening, you know, but it did seem a little forced. Something like that does inherently always seem forced.
I want to say perhaps if it wasn't moving, side swiping, and doing the down the middle of Britney Snow,
yeah,
and Pearl at the same time, perhaps it wouldn't have been that cheesy. But I mean, they were playing around, and that is what's really cool. That, you know, they tried something absolutely new that I've never seen in a fucking horror movie.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. Yep, very true.
The acting was great. I liked it. I liked the script as well. I always find it really fascinating when a movie is about a movie. And it's this like whole meta kind of conversations going on that you can see or, you know, wonder, oh, did you have a conversation with somebody about how to make a film? I want to know your opinions about when screenwriters decide to do something like that, have the conversation be about conversations.
Yeah, well, and I think this movie we do see it a good amount of times in horror, like not only in this movie, but also I think it's Scream a lot too, because that movie is about kids who love horror movies, and they're talking about horror movies in a horror movie, and we're talking about making a porno. We're talking about making a dirty movie in a dirty movie in this movie. No,
Which
but
movie are you talking about?
I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. There's this level of self-awareness that this movie has that I think is really fun.
Well, that's because I'm not treating it like pornography, but it's cinema. And that's what these other adult films are lacking.
Just don't understand why you're doing all this.
Because it is possible to make a good, dirty movie. And it's about high time we cut to the chase and we give the people what they want to see. What do you say?
Fucking finally.
And there were so many times where it was like very tongue-in-cheek, where after that scene that they're playing the song, that's when his girlfriend that he brought along says that she wants to be in the movie.
I want to do a scene in the movie.
What?
Well, I'm young. And if we really are making a good, dirty movie, I don't want to just carry the equipment. I want to be in it.
I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. We've already shot half of it. The story can't just suddenly change midway through.
And then the next scene is when the killing starts. So we have these like very like tongue-in-cheek moments. I love it. I think it's super fun, and it's not so in your face that it's like, okay, I see what they're doing, but it's still there enough where I think it's funny.
And I like that.
Well.
I liked the conversation, we got to have with, the other two girls are the stars of the movies. They're the ones having the sex and stuff like that. And we have our other girl character, well, younger than the old lady. But like, either she was gonna stay in her beliefs and not, give in or be flexible with any sort of openness. And I guess like with the boyfriend, the director, being like, damn it, like I wanted at least one of them to be a nice girl and not have to be doing those scenes. But she wasn't our main girl, so we couldn't have had her be the one standing by her values. And yet she gave in. And the thing is, the old people were not killing because children were having sex, because that's almost all of the movies, like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Freddy. They all kill mostly when kids are awakening their sexuality, or they just finished having sex, or they're about to have sex. And this whole conversation is not about that. It's just that old people can't fuck the way they used to when they were young. And young people know that. They're like, I'm going to get to a point when I'm older and not have sex. And they're like, might as well get it in now. So, yeah.
I think it was a great little flip that they did for this movie that could be on the surface, like service as a very just typical slasher. They just switched. It reminds me of It Follows, which we watched earlier in the season, because they're taking this idea of sex that is so ingrained in what we think of as the typical slasher format, and they switch it on its head to make it something that we want to be away from completely. It's not something that is enticing for us to watch the movie anymore. It actually becomes part of the horror of it. And I think that this perfectly transitions us into
La meat. Nom, 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 nom. Medium rare.
The meat, because we're talking about sex for sure, but that's only, I think, on the surface of what's going on. I think it's more about regrets and looking back on your life. What are you, because very much Pearl, the old woman, is seeing all these young, hot people come into her home and reminding her of the life she feels like she missed out on. And that is what infuriates her. And there's this kind of tie, I think, to quote unquote the American dream.
What about you, Maxine? What's your American dream?
The group of young people that are making the porno very much are looking at their lives with really bright eyes. Everyone has these aspirations of being a star. I'm the one, I have it. And they want to live fast, and they want to get to that success right now.
You're a fucking sex symbol.
And then we have the older people who are looking back on their lives and thinking, these people have no idea what they're missing out on right now. I wish I had a moment, like a day of being young again. And why don't I have that again? Why do they deserve to have this youth and the fun when I know what it's worth? So it's this like play of like what I have versus what I deserve, and like almost the danger of the American dream, kind of, because the American dream says that everybody deserves everything. But Pearl is kind of like an evil agent of the American dream, where she does think she deserves everything,
Mm-hmm.
and she's willing to kill
Yeah.
to get what she thinks she deserves.
Well, the thing is, when she kills, she is empowered, and it's giving her a sense of pleasure that she's not getting in life. She is just feeling like she is. It's a performance. Every time that she kills is a performance that then fulfills and scratches that itch. You know, and for her to then get held by her husband. It's one thing to have this itch to kill, and then it's a whole different ballpark to help someone like that.
Yeah, because I guess that's another part of this too, is we have Pearl, who is like this evil agent, but then what is Harold's part of that? You know, because everything that he's doing is servicing her. So it's not even about him servicing his needs or desires or wants anymore. It's about him making sure she gets hers.
Because he can't. He will literally die.
He's impotent, and his heart is bad. If he has sex, it's gonna explode.
Fucking die. And she doesn't give a fuck. Well, I mean, she kind of does, because, you know, there's a scene in which, you know, she tries to excite him, and he was like, "Don't, I might die." And then you could tell that she is so sexually like,
Do you think? Okay, now I'm still playing now with this kind of evil American dream idea, American nightmare. Of thinking about him as a representation, Harold as a representation of a societal pressure to please your spouse, or like always be willing to give everything for your partner or whatever, and he is like the extreme of that. He's willing to kill anybody and keep a sex slave in the basement, and he's like the most extreme example of someone who
is devoted. I call that also demented.
Very toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
And this is the thing where, I mean, I don't know if that's going to be controversial, but like in a relationship, there's this whole saying, and maybe we're rewriting it, giving your whole 100% to somebody. That is not and should not be what you should be doing, because then you get stuff like this. I mean, this is an extreme, but you're also a person. You have to satisfy your own self, and maybe perhaps Pearl was so dependent on Harold. To be able to give her what she needs physically. And so then this is what was like, well, to keep her around, I'm just gonna have a slave for her, a little sex slave.
Yep. And look at this, we got a bunch of
wow,
hot teens coming in.
Lots of people that are trying to make it, because it seems like maybe they're getting filmmakers and people like this that are trying to make their own movies, and they kind of just took advantage of that, perhaps. How long do you think Pearl and Harold have been doing this? Is this their first time?
No, it's definitely not their first time, because we see obviously the sex slave in the basement, and we see a car that is like half sunk in their swamp. So to me, it seems like they've been doing this for a while. Going back to this American Nightmare idea. American Nightmare, in the end, for Pearl, consumes her. I mean, she dies at the end. So reaping what she sowed in the prequel and in this movie. It all ends up coming back to her, and literally she dies by her own devices by trying to shoot Mia Goth. What's the character's name? I can't remember.
I can't remember any of their names.
Mia Goth.
I just know them by their actual names.
That's fine. Try to shoot Mia Goth, blows back, and actually like breaks her own hip and kind of dooms herself. So she kind of just sets herself up for failure, I think, in her whole life. Now, we've also been following this other character, Mia Goth, who is, I think, where Pearl was at one point in her life. She's looking at the American dream in front of her. She thinks she is the one.
I will not accept a life I do not deserve.
Do you think that she goes on after this and ends up better than Pearl? Or is she doomed to kind of end up exactly how Pearl ended up?
Well, this is interesting. She didn't kill anybody. Oh, no, she did. She killed her.
She killed Pearl.
She killed Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no. No, because although I also tell myself that in the mirror, it's not quite to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
I want to accomplish my goals. And if I don't get there, it's not like I'm going to murder somebody for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like I'm going to pick up cocaine and start doing it every time that I goddamn want.
That was my indication that she was not on the right path, because there was at least 3 scenes that we saw her doing cocaine, close-ups of her doing cocaine.
Lots of
it in the middle of the night. She definitely seemed dependent on it. So I was like, okay, this is not... Yes, we see her. The film is presenting her in the light of, you have this X factor. And everyone, when we see her have sex, everyone is like hypnotized by her. Even the sound girl is hypnotized by her, just watching her performance. She does have something. There is something that it makes her special. But it was those reminders of her doing coke throughout the movie that I was like, there's something there though. You're not this like perfect star that you think that you are. And that is why at the end I was like, is she going to turn out any better than Pearl is? Because she's got her vices too.
Because there's also the other side of the coin of that motto, you know, essentially, I will do anything possible to get what I want. And then the other one is the positive one, where it's like, I will not let anything hold me back to accomplish what I need.
Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous little phrase.
Because the other side, the bad one, is I will suck anybody's dick. You know, I will kill anybody. I will steal a car. And then it starts getting muddied. You start like doing things that are against your beliefs, other people's beliefs. Well, mostly worry about your own beliefs. And then you're just like, who are you at that point?
You become Pearl. You become someone who's only concerned about yourself and your dream, and you'll destroy everybody else to
and
get
then
your dream.
If you don't kill them, they're sucked in, and they're just little robots.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have their own life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not nice. You want people to fulfill their own dreams.
No, yeah, that sounds like a sociopath, like a psychopath thinking. Yeah, very like, people are pawns.
Yeah.
People are pawns in my dream. So
Like the game of chess. You have all these pawns.
I hope
horses.
I'm a knight. I want to be a knight.
Yeah, but you're still working for the queen.
That's true. I'm still not in control.
The king is not even as powerful as the queen.
True. I mean, this movie definitely made that clear. Harold. All right, so let's get to the cook.
The cook. Chicka.
Womp womp. How they actually presented these ideas. I mean, I think we've talked a lot about how they've used both the filmmaking and the themes really well together. I mean, I think that they presented a lot of those ideas that we just talked about really well. I don't really feel like we were really stretching to get any of those ideas because they
Except
really,
for that song.
except for that song, that we just kind of had to
Just say
work over that.
That's it.
But I think that a big part that we didn't get to talk about that much that I'd like to take this time to talk about is more so of the acting and the characters that we were presented with, because I think it started with the script. Like you already said, the script is very well written, and it makes us care about, I think, characters that in other horror movies we wouldn't typically care about. Like they all seem like real people.
Yeah.
Like they all have something going on that's beyond just hot people going to a cabin to get killed. I mean, even down to like Kid Cudi, like we know he's a soldier. So he has things about how he acts and decisions that he makes based off of his time as a soldier. And we have the, what's Wednesday's real name? Ortega, right?
Jenna
Ortega. Even her, she kind of starts as a background periphery character, but because of, how she reacts to situations, how she acts, we learn more about her reality, which is a lot different than these other people's reality. So all these characters, between how they're written and how these actors are actually playing them, make me care about these bunch of porno actors.
Oh, bless their soul.
Bless their soul.
Yeah.
They made dumb decisions.
But
I cared about them.
Yeah. And they all had a reason as to why they were there doing the thing. There was the director who had big dreams of taking an actual movie and trying to say something with it, trying to modernize and not bring so much shame to sex. And then his girlfriend, who was religious and was a little bit more conservative, had her views changed, and then instantly regretted it when she was locked in a basement and was like, I shouldn't have come here anyway. Fuck you. And it's like she was saying fuck you to the girl that inspired her, and made her change her mind. And we have Mia's character that makes it at the end because of her sheer, like, unrelentless, I don't know, like, drive. Yeah.
Yeah. And
she's literally driving away.
And like, yeah, the unwillingness to accept a life that she doesn't deserve, or death. Because
she was the little girl's picture that priest was talking about, right? That's her dad. And
yeah, there's this like little reveal at the end that all these religious broadcasts that we've been seeing throughout the movie, those
are from her dad.
Those are her parents. That's the cult that she alludes to escaping at one point in the movie.
Oh, it's a cult?
It's a religious cult, yeah. Or some sort of religious group. That's what I think she says. And she says she escaped, quote unquote. And yeah, it's just that like little reveal at the end that they're like, we hope she comes back.
Which is really funny because they go into that gas station and she's watching it and she has no reaction. I would have liked to seen, even if you didn't want to reveal it, I think it's cool to keep it, as a revealment at the end. But for her to be a little more just like uncomfortable and give us just a bit of a tease or clue.
That's what I thought too, because this was the second time watching it, so I knew that reveal about the character. And I was in particular paying attention to her in that scene because I wanted to see what her reaction was to the TV. No, it wasn't anything.
And I like that the small town girl that works at the gas station is watching the same broadcast that plays while everybody's getting murdered.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that kind of like maybe just a tad bit, even just little reactions, something to add to that scene, because then it doesn't make sense for, I mean, not maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, she needed a tiniest reaction, just like a tiniest little thing
Why
to just
have
indicate. Yeah.
Why have it on and be a revealment of that?
Right.
Because it could have just been just a broadcast of a priest.
Yeah.
Just talking.
I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
It didn't need to have that tie. I'm not sure, why they made that decision. It doesn't bother me that much, but yeah, it's like when you really start thinking about it, it's kind of just like
add a little bit to another layer. Let's take it even more.
Mm-hmm.
It works well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just see a little bit of a eye kind of disgust or something towards, because then it makes it like sex versus religion,
Mm-hmm.
just by that action.
Mm-hmm.
Just that. And we don't have to come back and talk about bash on religion or whatever.
Yes.
Because we get that throughout the movie without it being too overly.
Just inherently.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Agreed. Totally agree. I think for the most part, besides like those small things, the acting performances are really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
And the characters are characters that I didn't expect to care about, but I did care about. And they all have their own little flair. Something that makes them unique, which I think is cool.
What do you think of everybody in the house just coming out more? I mean, I guess if everyone in the room has already seen you butt-ass naked and having sex, why put clothes on when you're going to go to the refrigerator?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean,
don't put anything on. Whatever.
Close quarters, and maybe you're gonna have to wake up at 4 a.m. and do a scene real quick for some reason, so you might as well just be ready.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I think they're all comfortable with each other.
So super.
Yeah, they gotta be.
They're best friends.
My best friend.
Best friend. No. But
all right, cool. Well, why don't we get to the thrill?
The
then,
thrill?
which
Absolutely.
Is, what makes it actually scary?
Scary.
Well, I think a big thing that makes this scary. I think we should talk about Pearl.
Yeah.
Our main villain.
Slow and steady. Wins the race.
That is something that you brought up, which is so right. In the beginning of this movie, for honestly the majority of this movie, it's a pretty slow-paced reveal that she is actually homicidal.
Mm-hmm.
We know she's creepy. We see her in windows. We see her in the back of the woods. We see her on the porch doing creepy waves and stuff.
Come on over and get some lemonade.
Yeah, and we know she has some sort of like weird attraction to Mia Goth, but we don't fully understand how dangerous she really is until well into the movie, and then we really understand. So she has the first kill.
Shit.
Oh man. And so yeah, you're right. She has that like very slow, meek appearing,
but she's
a predator.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I think we should also talk about that for a second, is the fact that Mia Goth is playing Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
She's playing both, not herself, she's playing the character that we don't remember her name, and also the killer old woman, which is really cool. The first time I saw this, I didn't realize that until the end. And she's doing a great job of giving Pearl her own quirks and separating her from the other characters. Towards the end, I mean, she wanted to like get with herself.
She wanted to become her. She wanted to crawl back into her skin and be her.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was even more demented than that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like a picture of her and Harold on the wall, and it was a spitting image of that girl.
Oh, of course, because I think it was Mia Goth.
Which is really funny because what it's trying to also say with them looking exactly the same is that they have that look to them, which is innocent, but they're not. So they're even the most dangerous of, the girls out there trying to make it. Like, they just have it.
They will do whatever it takes to get it.
When people say like, to couples, like, how'd you guys know you guys were the ones for each other? And you're just like, you just know it. You just like know it. It's that it where you're just like, I don't know what it is, but it is. It is what it is. You got it.
I know it. Yeah, in this people's case, they know that they deserve to have everything. I know it.
I know it.
I deserve it.
I deserve it.
Yeah. It's scary. And I think Pearl she's a great villain. She's I think an awesome villain because she's not at all what you expect, but still super dangerous. She uses a lot of different weapons to kill people. She's got a little variety going on.
Oh yeah, she does.
So she's exciting.
She's not lazy.
No, she likes to switch it up. I mean, clearly she's freaky. So she
is a freak.
She switches it up.
Even at fucking, how old is she? 90?
Yeah. She looks.
She got it on. She was like,
yeah,
doing the little dance for
hell
him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, you
want this, Harold?
No, my heart. You know about my heart, Pearl.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of doing it, how about the ride?
Whoa.
Overall,
You funny.
Overall, what do we think of the ride of this movie?
I think it's rideable. It's plowable.
It is plowable.
Yeah, I mean, it was well acted. I liked the pace of the film, and the color of it looked awesome. The setting looked awesome. The kills were really great. And I mean, it's watchable. Yeah. It's a watchable film, and Absolutely. I can see the hype that it had. This is my first time watching it, so it took me a while. But everybody just couldn't stop talking about this film.
Yeah. It is a little different. I mean, it's what we love about horror movies, while it being a little different, Yeah, and that's what I love the ride about it too. I was never bored because we were getting all those like classic tropes that we love about horror films, classic horror films, while also serving us up something new.
I see one goddamn fucked up horror picture.
Thanks. 2022.
Yeah,
wow, let's get to these Smash Pumpkins.
Smash. Okay, I'm gonna smash first.
Smash it up.
Smash it up, plow it up. I'm gonna give it a 4.3.
4.3.
Yeah. I think overall, I just really enjoyed every aspect of the film. I wish there was less sex. No, I'm just kidding. I just didn't like the musical number right there, smacked in the middle. If I was somebody in the writer's room or somebody that was like producing it, I would heavily discuss this section of the film being like, is this necessary? I would rather have another sex scene than this musical piece. I don't need it. I don't want it. I will not produce this section of the film.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's it. That's all I had to say about.
That's it. That is the end of it.
No. Yeah. And well acted.
Yes.
They're people that I've seen throughout, currently seeing more of Jenna Ortega. I've seen Brittany Snow and other things growing up.
John Tucker Must Die.
Oh. No, it was actually The Pacifier.
Oh, okay.
Even younger than that.
Oh, okay. Well,
with Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Well, she's in both of our nostalgic minds in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you in everything that you said about X. I don't know about The Pacifier.
It's a good movie.
Aside from that, like one bit that you already talked about, I really did enjoy this movie a lot. And that section, I can see that he was really trying to play with something, you know, he was really going for it. And I think I saw that he was credited as being one of the editors. I think there's 2 editors, and I think Ty West was one of them. So he was like clearly in the editing room and like really,
man, he put a lot
wanted to get in
this.
there, you know, like it was very much through and through his film, it seemed like. And I'm happy that he did exactly what he wanted, because I think that's so important when you're making art, is to not service anyone else except yourself. So even in that scene that maybe didn't land for us, he felt that that was part of his art, and I can appreciate that. So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Nice.
Out of 5.
I want us to really pull Pearl out of the bucket, because I need to discuss Pearl with you.
Well,
I need
let's get to it. Get that bucket over here. We got to pull something out. Maybe we'll do it right now.
If you do, I'm walking out. That would be the scariest thing.
That would be really fucking crazy. All right, I have one right here.
No, it's not Pearl.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Whatever you say. Oh my God.
Shut up.
Oh my God.
No.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't even look yet. So it might be still.
No.
Here we go.
Shut up.
A ventriloquist is at the mercy of his vicious dummy while he tries to renew a romance with his high school sweetheart.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. This movie is Magic from 1978.
78.
Yeah, you know who's in this movie? Anthony Hopkins, our good friend, Hannibal Lecter.
Ooh.
Scary.
Scary.
Magic. Ooh.
Wow, puppets. I'm excited.
Yeah, we got some puppets going on.
Vicious dummy.
I don't think we
have not.
Have we had any killer toys?
No, not yet.
No killer toys
No
yet.
Chucky yet.
No Chucky. We did Child's Play on the 31 days.
That's true. I wasn't there for that one.
No, you weren't. But, all right, killer toys.
Nice.
Let's get into it. Cool. All right, let's get out of this episode, huh?
Okay. All right. Well, y'all know where to find me. X at Color Me Leslie.
And me at Beep Beep Richie T.
Pew,
And
pew.
us at the Deadlights Pod.
Deadlights Podcast.
Please check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this at.
Yeah.
But until next time, let's get spooky.
Ooh. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
X.